This video will walk you through how to create an adjustment record in a deduction report. So when do you need an adjustment record? You would enter an adjustment record when you have collected or refunded deductions from a prior pay period. In this example, Danny Desk was paid on 8/31/2021, but I forgot to take his MTRS deductions, so I have collected it here on 9/14. You can see that the deduction on 9/14 is double what it is normally. So I need to break out the extra deduction into an adjustment record. So before you begin, you'll actually want to make sure that you make note of what the deduction total is at the bottom of each deduction period. Here, the regular deduction total is $821.58 and $0 for the 2% deduction. Once you've completed the adjustment record process, this total should still be the same. So I collected extra on 9/14, so I'm going to make a copy of that record. To make a copy, select the checkbox and then click Copy Selected. You'll see that he now has 3 records. 2 of them have a pay date of 9/14. Stay on the record that you have checked just so you can keep track of where you are. Change the rec type to adjustment. Leave the pay date alone. This is when you made the correction. The period date should reflect the date that the original error occurred. So my original error occurred on 8/31/2021. That's the day that he was paid, but I forgot to take his deduction. The regular deduction, this should only be the amount extra that you collected. So I collected an extra $273.86. So I will enter that here. He is not subject to 2%, so I leave that alone. I tab over to the base. He was not actually paid another check, so we're going to put 0.01 in here. The system does require some earnings, so we put just a penny in there to bypass that validation. If there are any other earnings, if he had coaches, retro, longevity, stipend, premium, or ineligible earnings, you would just zero those out. He does not have any other type of earnings, so there's no need to update that. And then the final step is that you want to go to the normal record on the same pay date and lower the deduction. So now we've broken out the adjustment amount. So we're going to subtract this adjustment amount from this value here. And that total is $273.86. And then just tab off. Again, you want to look at the deduction total at the bottom. It's $821.58. That's what it was before we added the adjustment record. And that's what it is after we've added the adjustment record. So we know we've done the correction properly. You would click Apply. And the final step, once it's done applying, is to add a comment. Whenever you have an adjustment record, you need to add a comment so that the MTRS knows why you have collected this additional amount. So we would go up to Comments. You always want to start with the employee's name, and then briefly explain what happened. So this is briefly explaining what happened. I did not take deductions on his 8/31 check in error. I collected it here on 9/14 to make up for the missed payment. And then click Post. So that's how you would enter an adjustment record when you've collected extra money. If you have a situation where you've refunded deductions for an error, we'll go up to Filter. I do have another person that has this situation, so I'm going to enter their last name. So in June of 2021, Hank History was paid a $1,000 stipend that was not eligible. It wasn't in the contract. So he needed to be refunded the deductions that were taken on that stipend in error. You will see here on his 9/14 check, he has an error message. Let's click on it. He has a potential rate error, MTRS rate 11, school rate 6.89. That's my indication that something's wrong here. I look at my notes and I know that this is the day that I refunded the $110 deduction that I took in error in June. So again, it's a correction to a deduction from a prior pay period. So I would need to enter an adjustment record. So I need to copy this record. So I select the checkbox, click Copy Selected. You'll see I now have 2 records for 9/14. I'm going to stay on the one that's checked, change the rec type to adjustment, leave the pay date alone, that's when I made the correction. The period date always points back to the check of the original error. In this case, it's June 15th, 2021. tab over to regular deductions. This was a refund of deductions, so it will be negative. And I refunded $110, so I put negative 110. No 2% here, so we're going to leave it as 0. Tab over. Again, he was not paid an additional check, so we need to put 0.01 in the base. I'm going to just look for any other earnings. He has no other earnings, so I don't need to do anything further. And then I'm going to go up to the normal record on the same pay date, 9/14, and add the $110 back into this deduction, since I have it broken out down here. That makes it $298.05. I'm going to tab off. You'll see that the deduction total did not change. It was $665.24 before we began, and it's still $665.24 after we've added the adjustment record. You will click Apply to save your changes, and then we'll add a comment explaining why he's being refunded. Go up to Comments. Again, you always want to start the comment with the employee name, and then briefly explain what happened, why he's being refunded $110 in deductions. And then post the comment. And that's how you add an adjustment record to a deduction report.